We can go on together with suspicious minds.
Hey, welcome back to Analog Man Podcast. I'm Wolfhound, and we're going to do another song from Angelina Jordan. Now, this song came in through my Stan store, so Suspicious Minds by Elvis, but I also really like this song, and it's getting played a lot because of Lilo and Stitch, and I like that movie as well, because, I spent a lot of time on the islands, but this will be interesting. I have not heard her sing this song. I do know a little bit about the song, and we could talk about that at the end. But for now, please do me a favor and just hit the like button. Let's get into this. So if you don't know who Angelina Jordan is, this is going to be a treat. She's just a fantastic singer. She's been singing for a very long time, although she's just become an adult in the last few years. Her story is just an amazing story. Beautiful person, beautiful singer out of Norway. And, a child prodigy that has continued that path. And we're going to hear her sing right now. And so, yeah, I'm pretty excited about this one. Let's go. Yeah, so already it's a bit slower than what I would expect. So maybe the song is going to be a little bit slower. She has a, ability to do that. I haven't heard a lot of her music, but one of the songs I did previously, Wicked Games, and it was a slow version of it, but I actually really liked it. Some people, they can't appreciate that, but I find that depending on the song, sometimes that's a better way to sing it. So don't want to talk too much. Let me back it up just a little bit. Let's go. Okay, I'm liking the outfit. A little tribute to Elvis. I'm also liking the hairstyle choice. It's kind of like a throwback to Priscilla Presley or Elvis's wife. I actually had a chance to visit the Elvis mansion in Memphis, and that was a really cool experience. And also spent some time on Beale Street with the Blues. But we'll talk more about it at the end of the song. But yeah, I just wanted to say how this, the scenery in this video, and I'm not sure who does her videos. Or who's the creative director for this. Is this real, or is this like an AI generated thing? I can't really tell if this is like somewhat of a green screen or if this is real. I guess I'll be able to tell if I watch more of the video.
Oh, little love, survive. I draw the tears from your eyes. Just don't let a good thing die. When, honey, I've never lied to you. We're caught in a trap. I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Why can't you see what you're doing to me? When you don't believe a word I say, we can go on together with suspicious minds. And we can't build our dreams on suspicious minds. If an old friend I know stops by to say hello, would I still see suspicion in your eyes? Here we go again, asking where I've been. You can see the tears are real, I'm crying. together with suspicious minds. Yeah,
Can't stop this, but I have to stop this. Wow, man. Now this one's hitting me, man. This one's hitting me for real. There's very few people in the world that could take a song that's already really, 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 really great song and slow it down and make it better by slowing it down. This is just beautiful. I'm sorry I stopped it. I just wanted to just hear it and listen to it, but I had to just say it. And I think that's an antique store. So that might be what all that's about. But wow. Wow. Let me back this up. Why? Because I just want to hear that again.
asking where I've been. You can see the tears are real. I'm crying. Oh, yeah. We can go on together with suspicious minds. And we can build our dreams on suspicious minds. Oh, little love survive. I dry the tears from your eyes. Don't let a good thing die. When, honey, you know I've never lied to you. Oh, yeah.
Wow. There's so much I want to say right now. Before I get into it, please hit the subscribe button. And for the person who made this request in the stand store, I really appreciate you. One, because I really love this song, and I did listen to Elvis. I wouldn't say I listened to Elvis growing up, um, because of where I lived in the United States. Elvis was not really considered, let's just put it this way. There are people in the region that I grew up in that didn't like Elvis because they had issues with how he came up with his music and where he got his music from. Now, I believe this song is from a guy named Mark Jackson, I think, or Johnson. Is it Jackson? And that guy also wrote some Willie Nelson songs that are super famous. And he was just a great, talented songwriter and a musician as well. And he gave this song to Elvis, I believe. But that song in Elvis's repertoire was one of his greatest songs, and I've always loved it because of the soul, that kind of that soul feeling. Now, Elvis did have a background where, well, we could talk a little bit more about that, but let's just talk about Angelina Jordan in this song for now. First, just absolutely beautiful. Like the slow pace of that, I love it, man. I absolutely love that. Like it kind of took that song to a different place than you would normally take it. Now there's a little bit of that kind of upbeat, soulful part that you would hear Elvis sing, but this was more of just, getting deep into the words and the meanings, maybe even closer to probably what the original songwriter would have done. And, maybe that's something to think about, but I really enjoyed it. And she was dressed for the occasion for sure, with the kind of like the beehive hair and the throwback of that era when elegance and refinement was something we really appreciated. It's not just women, men too. They dressed accordingly, and we kind of miss a lot of that in our society today. That kind of the high culture, well, as high as you can be from Memphis, Tennessee. And if you haven't ever been to Memphis or Beale Street, oh, you really got to make a stop. Check the Elvis Mansion, but there's also, all of the blues and all of that musical history right there from Robert Johnson, like the king of the Delta blues, which impacted Elvis and BB King and everybody else, which is impacting her as well, right? I'm a big fan of Robert Johnson and the simplicity of his music and the complexity of his lyrics for the era that he made the music. How many artists can actually tie themselves to Robert Johnson? Even Angelina Jordan in ways when she sings music like this in blues. So, yeah, just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful rendition of this song. makes me just a bigger fan of her for sure. And this is, I guess she's a little bit older here. I'm gonna listen to some of her stuff when she was younger as well. But this was one, it was a request, so I want to fulfill my request. But two, I like the song already. And then lately with Lilo and Stitch, that is one of the songs in the playlist, I believe, in Lilo and Stitch. So every time you hear it, you're just like, oh, Elvis. And so more about Elvis. So when I was growing up, Elvis was actually considered country in the region that I was in. I was on the East Coast and the Northeast, and so that was still considered somewhat of country music, even though he was rock and roll, and one of the founders of rock and roll. We can't really say the founder of rock and roll, although he can make a claim for it for sure. And knowing about rock and roll, where it comes from, when you're talking about blues and gospel and country, and combining all of these things with the guitar, and that time where Elvis did that, he was a pioneer in that sense. But not everything that Elvis did was original to him, right? He took from other artists, and he made it his own way. He sang it his own way, in a way that nobody at the time was doing, right? So, whatever you want to think about Elvis, he reinterpreted it in his own way, and he was his own thing. And there's a lot of interesting things happening at that time in music, right? In rock and roll when it first started, and in the United States, there was a lot of tensions between different groups who were actually playing rock and roll and trying to find these old blues riffs that they could use in order to make new music. And then there was the studio Motown stuff that was coming a little bit later. If you combined all that, like, the country, and then guys like Bob Dylan and those folks, that, when rock and roll was kind of coming together and just becoming what it became, obviously Elvis was right there in Front Street when it first started. But when he got drafted, there was kind of like, somewhat of a lag or a delay in the development of rock and roll in the United States. And the cool thing about it was these British guys, they had heard Elvis and they were so inspired by him. And they're like, where did he get all this? So they decided that they were going to go to the United States and find all these blues artists so that they could start developing UK rock, right? Which ends up hitting a little bit later. And it's kind of its own thing because it's kind of a UK flavor with American roots of blues. And the blues that they were getting, some Americans weren't getting that music because of the tensions between white Americans and black Americans at that time. So these British guys came in and they got into the archives and were able to get access to things that the Americans weren't. So rock and roll just kind of kept evolving. And, there's always some inspiration from some artist before, or not always. Sometimes it just comes out of thin air. Like, I guess Bob Dylan said it. I don't know where he got it from, but there are some videos out there where people have some suspicions about that. But this song, Suspicious Minds, the songwriter should just be so proud to, like, hear this version as well from her. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful song. I really, really like this one. I dig this one big time. I like when kind of that old vibe and those old type of songs resurface and people do something different with them, not just like a regular cover. But what's interesting about her is she kind of she doesn't just redo them in a modern way. She like redoes them in kind of an analog way, like in bringing back even more roots, which is you just don't see that really, do you? Speaking of that antique store, and I believe it was an antique store because of the duplicate different types of furniture that were in there. And you see that old one, the kind of the chair, you can see the water stain on the back of it. And that reminds me of kind of this era, this bygone era where when I grew up, that stuff was already gone. You might have had some stuff from your 70s furniture still around, but that old vintage Victorian, especially in the United States, that stuff was all long gone by the time I grew up. But you would go to antique stores and you would see that kind of furniture and like kind of the clawfoot tub type of artifacts. And just a really it was just a really special time in the United States that we just kind of put away for some reason. And there was so much influence from Europe in the United States at that time, and people were crafting, like the old world, as we would say. And we had some of that stuff in our basement, and it's weird because it was thought of as junk, right, at the time, like, it's like, "Look at this old stuff." Yeah, it wasn't quite antique yet, but it wasn't usable, and so, in hindsight, would have kept all of that stuff. That's where that show American Pickers, that guy's out there, trying to find all that stuff, but, yeah, I really like the setting, and it was kind of a doubling down of that analog and that old style and that old vintage way of singing music, and she just really captured it with that setting and even her, her hairstyle and everything. So, yeah, this was a really good one, man. I appreciate you. If you guys have another song that you guys think I should cover, let me know. I had some audio issues on one of my videos, and I corrected that the best I could. But yeah, there are a few people out there that are just so good at that, and this editing thing, and even the YouTube thing. Definitely not an expert at it, trying to get better, trying to get, audio, video quality better as I go along. But this one's off of her site. I'll leave a link to that in the description so you guys can check that out. But if you guys like this one, or if you like the Analog Man podcast, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a super chat. The super chats are always on. You can do that even, when I'm not live. But when I am live, I'll premiere all my songs and I'm in the chat when I'm live so we can get the dialogue going. Super chats are on over there. That helps me grow the channel. You guys help me grow the channel. Your recommendations help me grow the channel. And even if you said it once, say it again, because there's other people out there that haven't seen those comments. And then, I'm not just the only one reading them. There are people that come across the channel from the other music that I listen to. And lately I've been doing a lot of Angelina Jordan. Probably going to do some more of her music because, this is kind of the music I dig. I like this kind of stuff. But I am a reggae guy. I am a calypso guy, and even Afro beats I like. There is a genre called Jawaiian. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, but that's also some of the music I listen to as well. It's kind of a mix between some country and reggae. I would say that that's what Jawaiian is. And a lot of times the lyrics are really, they hit hard. If you live out in the islands, it makes a lot of sense. But really enjoyed it. Man, she's such a talented singer. I just love the fact that she just threw it in like first gear the whole way. And that's just, there were some people complaining about like Wicked Games that it was too slow, but I didn't get that. I'm like, you know, it is the same song, but at that tempo, it's a different song, and I thought that was really cool. I mean, I guess some people don't appreciate that stuff. Everything's gotta be fast and in your face, I guess, but, if you can't appreciate this, maybe there's something wrong with you. But, maybe there's something wrong with me, I don't know. I'm just the analog man. I'm just Wolfhound here, hanging with you guys on YouTube, and I appreciate everybody that comes and hangs out and watches my premieres. I try to do the premieres and get lives because, that's for you guys, and there are some people that know each other in those chats, and it's cool to see you guys go back and forth, and even if you don't agree, that's cool too. I like seeing that. Appreciate everybody coming back to the podcast. I'll see you on another Angelina Jordan song very soon. Not sure what I'm gonna do next. Maybe James Brown. Maybe James Brown, because then we could talk more about the history of rock and roll, which Mr. Brown had a big effect on. So I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm Wolfhound. And oh, did we talk about Lilo and Stitch? Yeah, we talked about Lilo and Stitch. See you on the next one. Oh, by the way, my Frenchie, who's no longer with us, might as well have been Stitch. Might as well. Miss her. I'll see you on the next one. I'm Wolfhound. I'm out.